Conditional masculinity not only is harmful, but could also lead to homophobia and sexual harassment. Stoicism, competitiveness, dominance, and aggression.
Toxic masculinity is a ridiculous thing to say. There's terrible human beings that happen to be men. There's also terrible human beings that happen to be women. There's not toxic femininity. They just happen to be women developed in a terrible way, most likely with bad parents, most likely abuse, physical and or sexual, and then they become a monster at the end of all this process. This is the same with men. Bad men are just bad human beings that happen to be men. And when you see terrible things happen, it's not because of toxic masculinity. It's because it's a bad person. I believe in the individual. There's individuals, and some of them are bad and some of them are good. If you just want to generalize against all men, like you're on an uphill road. There's too many, obviously not me, I've never invented anything, but there's too many things that men have done that are positive. There's way too many. There's too many things. If you wanted to have like a scoreboard, and you wanted to compete men versus women, well, what are you going to say when you look at all the different accomplishments that men have made? And obviously it's not me and it's not you. I'm not talking about us, like that we're on a team. But I'm saying like just this concept that men are bad. And you hear this a lot today.
What the hell are we going to do without men? You look around the city here, you see all these buildings go up. These men, they're doing impossible things. They're under the streets, working on the sewers. They're up on the power lines in the storms and the rain. They're keeping this impossible infrastructure functioning, this thing that works in a miraculous manner. They work themselves to death, and often literally. The gratitude for that is sorely lacking, especially among the people who should be most grateful. You see university professors, especially of the social justice bent, who are among the most protected and privileged people that the world has ever produced. They take everything they have for granted, failing to understand entirely that there's a massive infrastructure of unbelievably hardworking, solidly laboring, working class men breaking themselves in half on a regular basis, making sure that everything that always breaks works. And so a little gratitude for that is in order, and that's not toxic masculinity, that appalling phrase. It's what keeps the world going round. If we had any sense, we'd understand that instead of doing everything at every possible moment to label what we have in the West as oppressive and patriarchal and fundamentally predicated on power, of all the insane propositions.
No, but on a real level, right, this whole idea of being toxically masculine is complete garbage. And the reason it's garbage is because it's a first world problem first. Mm-hmm. Because when you put males and females in survival situations, or the closer they are to a survival situation, the quicker they're going to revert to their gender roles. If you put a whole bunch of men and a whole bunch of women, you strand them on a desert island, the men would start having to build things and fight off the animals, and the women would start farming and whatever the women would do, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So when shit hits the fan, everyone reverts to their natural gender roles. Mm-hmm. So if you live in a country like Romania or Russia or a country that's poor, the closer it is to survival, the lower the economic prosperity of the country, the closer people are to their natural gender role. So Russian men are masculine, Russian females are feminine. Mm-hmm. But in America, it's the richest country in the world. It's a first world problem. All the women get to be stupid and the men get to be pussies because it's just a first world problem. This whole idea of being toxically masculine is absolutely garbage. If you would have told men 100 years ago, we're going to take your business away, we're going to bankrupt you, and they're going to lock you in your house, every single man would have stood up and said, what? Who are you? So when men try and act in a masculine way, they're toxically masculine. Mm-hmm. They demonize us. They want us to be semi-depressed with no fighting spirit to resist against the tyranny. They want us paying taxes as tax slaves in a sexless marriage with kids who don't respect us. No one talks about male depression. Nobody cares that the men are miserable. Nobody cares. As long as we pay our taxes and we don't divorce her because we're scared of losing the house, and we continue to raise those kids and sit there, that's all they want from us. That's it. And that's why toxic masculinity was coined. It was another weapon, a weapon against your natural instinct as a man to rebel.
And Kathy Newman kind of went after me about this. She said, well, if you're directing your message towards young men, which I wasn't, but assuming that's the case, isn't that divisive? And I would say, well, I don't think it is divisive because, first of all, the masculine in women also needs to be developed. It's very, very important. And the people who are the enemies of the masculine in men are also the enemies of the masculine in women. So if you overprotect your sons, let's say, you overprotect them in part and and weaken them because you're afraid of their masculine energy, you're going to do exactly the same thing
I
to your
agree.
daughters.